All right, so
All right, hello
yeah,
everybody. My name's Nancy,
my name's Eddie.
as you can see, and we're here presenting the Neddy nominated films. So these are award ceremonies that we had come up with. Labor of love, really. It's just so we're one of those people that I'm sure there's many more out there than the media has shown, but we're the kind of people who got into movies after getting a movie pass subscription.
Just last year,
We're one of those that 2017.
2017.
Yeah,
Wow. Yeah.
so 2 years now we've had the Netties now, but this time we decided to make it a huge thing, and we actually wanted to present it to you guys, and we wanted to keep ourselves we wanted to know our progress, right? We
Mm-hmm.
wanted to see how our relationship with film was growing, and so here we are. And so these are all the movies. So we actually watched more movies, and we'll see. So
Yeah.
show.
Yeah. So we actually ended up watching well, first of all,
Yeah, so we've watched 37 movies
mhm,
as a couple that have a 2018 release date. And out of those movies, obviously, these are the ones that we feel were the best ones, and that if anyone's looking back at 2018, these are the movies that they should watch, right?
yeah,
And keep in mind. Yeah.
exactly. And again, we try to watch a variety of movies, not just big blockbusters.
Mm-hmm.
I know 2017 was, I guess, the golden year for a lot of indie films. So, but this year there was a little bit less. And again, we didn't watch every highly acclaimed movie.
Yeah, so there's
Some,
a few movies I wanted to watch out, wanted to shout out.
yeah. So the first one was Lean on Pete,
Leon Pete, Hereditary,
uh, eighth grade, eighth grade.
and Wreck-It Ralph,
Yeah,
and Damsel.
Damsel.
Were the ones we would have wanted to watch and might have made it in here, and then we just didn't get around to it.
Either
Slash, yeah.
either because we other movies came up that were
Mm-hmm.
more highly acclaimed, or because the movies themselves didn't lend themselves to be watched in a timely manner. Again, we're working professionals. I had a full-time job, and I'm going to school full-time as well. So we only had one day really to see movies as a couple. So again, movies like Lean on Pete and what else?
Damsel had
And
very
then
limited releases, so
yeah,
unfortunately they were hard to catch.
they're like on Fridays at 10 p.m.
10 p.m.
So again, we have very limited forms of transportation as well, so we couldn't be out
Yeah,
that
so
late.
on to the nominees. So the first category here is best dance direction. Okay, so for this one, oh my gosh, Bohemian Rhapsody. So the thing with this movie, it's hard to spoil it because it's Freddie Mercury's life. So I
Hmm.
don't feel bad about saying that last choreography with the Live Aid,
Hmm.
1985 Live Aid, was awesome. It
Amazing.
was on point. Like, the main actor, like he just completely like recreated that moment and then put it on the big screen, which made it so much more exciting and just heart thumping.
Yeah.
Beautiful choreography.
Uh, yeah, Rami Malek was
Yeah.
very he really showed the showmanship that Freddie Mercury promoted when again he wanted to show the flamboyancy, and Rami portrayed that very well in the film. Um, Again, it's not a main like the main source of entertainment in the film, but I'm glad that Rami was able to
Oh yeah.
bring it all together and show it up on the screen.
Definitely. So next nominee is Mary Poppins Returns. So this movie, I mean, the choreography, it's gonna be Miranda Lynn, and we actually didn't know too much about this going in. We wanted to see this movie blind, and so seeing the choreography, it takes you back to the first Mary Poppins, and then it also just takes you back to just like that beautiful art style, that beautiful just carefree. I mean, that alternate reality where England's just a carefree place where the lowly workers dance and
Are happy
are happy.
to be working since menial jobs, just the 1930s.
Yeah, and then I mean, there's even like an upside down dance scene. There's a lot going on there that's really good and
Yeah.
definitely noteworthy if you are looking into good dance direction.
Yeah.
All right, best cinematography. All right, so here's the first first way that the Neddies distinguishes themselves. Because
So
you might not see this in, but
in
yeah, but we have Avengers: Infinity Wars. We have, I feel like, I mean, we saw it in the IMAX 3D. We were very fortunate to have done that, and it fills up the entire scene. It feels every scene is a different environment, and so it's completely epic, right?
mhm.
It feels just like an epic right
Yeah,
there, right?
it combines many different worlds that Marvel had been building over the years, and it combined them together to build this universe that I felt was captured beautifully and wasn't really overwhelming in any sense. Again, this is coming from a person who doesn't have much experience, but
That's what the Neddies are all
that's
about.
what the Navy's are all about. We're trying to give the layman's interpretation of films.
Yes.
And for me, I felt the cinematography was very well done. Um, again, different perspectives, different shots. So
Yeah, beautiful. Okay,
mhm.
so Mary Poppins returns to
Yeah,
to another nomination, and this is because again it's a 1930s London, beautifully created. But I think she, definitely added a whimsical touch to it. If you see how it looks almost like a cartoon, right? Like a
and
half cartoon,
yeah,
that blending. They even had some, even like the outfits looked like cartoons,
yeah,
and like they had, I mean, there was just more color, like the direction, and
more
it's
good
just
shot.
imagination, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and once it went back down to reality, it seemed like it was London 1930s.
Yeah. So,
Again, dreary,
hmm
still with that sense of,
just a little
a
touch of
little,
magic, That's
yeah,
what's so beautiful about it. It's like you could see it almost happening in real life.
yeah. So next we have Mission Impossible Fallout.
Yeah.
And Mission Impossible Fallout was a very fast-paced film, but it never really lost you. It blended suspense and action really well.
hmm
And some of the scenes were just shot so magnificently. You felt the tension, and at the blink of an eye, you were back into high-speed chases, which is Tom Cruise's, claim to fame, being chased around
Oh yeah, and I
major
mean in
cities.
general, I mean the cinematography. I mean it goes high speed chases. You have helicopter chases, helicopters chasing
Helicopters.
helicopters.
Yeah,
You have these, and again we also saw it in IMAX, so we saw like that scaling, that like beautiful, like just the background with the white mountains and like trying to like scale. You feel like
yeah,
you were in that Alpes. Like,
yeah.
you felt you were hiking that. It's, it could have been a total mess, but it ended up being like so well paced and well timed that the cinematography is just definitely deserves a mention, definitely deserves a nomination.
Yeah. And then we have First Man. Again, space physics is one of the things that uh, filmmakers have trouble with. We're not expecting 100% accuracy, but again, at some point, you can only uh, suspend this suspense your disbelief so much. But First Man was very accurate to what you would expect to shoot it out at space. And again, the shots were just amazing. The aesthetic felt very 1960s. Just how it was, yeah, just how it was shot. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Yeah, I mean, obviously it had that really old retro style,
Yeah.
but then combined with the retro style and then with the moon scenes, which
Hmm.
again also on IMAX again.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it sucks if this is the first time you heard of First Man. I mean, I feel really bad that you didn't get to see like the
Yeah.
70 feet.
Yeah. The Again,
uh,
it was that controversy
yeah,
that.
that beautiful, just that moon scene, the moon landing was really well shot and definitely deserves a nomination.
Hmm.
Best original song. So we have,
We
first off, well, we have Venom, which this is a song where I think more people heard the song Venom before it even came out. So it attracted attention to the film. I know for me it did. I heard the song Venom before I like
Yeah.
saw the movie Venom, and it was, I mean, the song itself is so adequate and it fits the theme so well. It fits the whole like I'm angsty, I'm like a monster inside
Yeah.
kind of vibe, but then the actual song is literally just about Venom. It just celebrates Venom.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
So it fits right in. Then we have Spidey Bells, a hero's lament. Uh,
This song,
so this song is a Christmas song, and in my opinion,
it's
it's
Jingle Bells, but it's Spidey Bells,
yeah,
something, and then like it keeps going, and it keeps going. You should listen to it. It's the soundtrack's called "A Very Spidey Christmas." It
mhm,
keeps going. It's beautiful. We kind of wish you could play it here, but we're not gonna play it.
yeah, because
But yes, this song for me, I think the moment I heard this song, I think it just set the theme. Like it's set for a world where Spider-Man is so real that like he lives in a movie where Spider-Man is so famous that he gets to make his own Christmas album. It's like an alternate reality that just immersed me more because it's like so ridiculous, but it like works
mhm.
so well with the movie.
Oh, it doesn't work well with the movie, in my opinion, but it works more with how important Spider-Man is in this universe and
Oh yeah.
how afterwards you see the impact. It adds to the impact of what happens later on in the movie, and in general, it's just a really funny song. Um, it really, I guess, it captures the tone that this movie wants to set. And again, it's just a good Christmas song. I would add it to my
uh,
Christmas. I would add it to my Christmas uh, playlist. Unlike someone here who's trying to make it a little bit deeper when it's really not. But
That's funny,
yeah,
Spider-Man. Yeah. The next one is "Can You Imagine That" by this one is from Mary Poppins Returns, right? And so we could have put a number of songs from Mary Poppins Returns. So
mhm,
also think about it almost like a stand-in, right? For like
yeah,
just Mary Poppins Returns had very good original songs.
hmm,
Can you imagine that as the first one that comes up? And I think, I mean, the actual song itself has a really good message. It says like, you know, like logic, right?
hmm,
We always love logic and science, and so, people let that stop them from imagining something that beyond that, something crazier. And
yeah,
so it's more of a definitely fun, creative song. Yeah,
yeah,
that fits that. And I mean, the music itself, her singing is so like she's stern with that singing that song. Like she starts out
yes,
with her tone, like like no, I've already taken my
yeah.
bath. Great song. And then
All right. So then, and lastly, we have "Busy Doing Nothing" from Christopher Robin. That that song at the end, it was really, it capped off the movie really well. It captures the philosophy of Pooh, which is basically, he doesn't do anything through much of the film. Well, at least people think he doesn't, but at the end, everything serves a purpose for him. And again, busy doing nothing. You know, we all want just to take that day off, figure out, just relax
Mhm.
and be busy doing nothing at all.
Yeah, it's so cute, very
It's
cute.
adorable.
It's very cute.
Yeah.
And then and also again, it fits the time period. This is one thing I also really liked about this. That it fit. The song itself sounds very old timey,
Hmm.
and the movie itself is very old, old timey. So it
Yeah.
just fits the time period. Very good.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
All right. So for best documentary, we only have one entry, so we're
Yeah.
gonna keep the suspense up.
Yeah, we're not gonna nominate anything for short films or anything like that. We
Hmm.
just figured we didn't
Yeah, we really don't
don't know
see.
enough. I mean, most of our short films are like YouTube series, so
Yeah.
that's another. If we ever make a
YouTube. If we
YouTube
ever do,
version,
yeah, if we ever do this more consistently, we'll start adding those
doing
into the.
YouTube best YouTube videos of 2019 or
Yeah.
something.
But going to
Oh yes.
Won't You Be My Neighbor? We actually traveled 35 miles plus
Mm-hmm.
to watch this film
Premiere day, yeah.
in premiere. And again, this is why we don't have a lot more indie films because even this one was inaccessible. But we made the trip, and we're glad. I'm glad we did because this film had me bawling from different emotions throughout. Just from the fact that there's someone out there that believes in us enough to make it his mission to better the world, and that he believed that we all can, I guess, improve the world for the better.
Yeah.
By the end of it, a lot, and you could hear sobbing in the
Oh
theater.
yeah, all of us were sobbing. I was
Yeah,
sobbing. Like
yeah,
it's I mean it shows it's like it shows such heartwarming scenes, like the one with the boy and
hmm
like it's it really touches you emotionally, but then it also I mean it also very educational. It tells us how Mr. Rogers had an influence beyond just like the personal, right? He had
hmm
an influence even with like 9/11, and he pretty much saved PBS. Like PBS
yeah,
was crashing at one point, and
hmm
so it makes a lot, and it even shows both sides, right? It shows
yeah,
like some criticisms of him too. So it's
yeah,
very well balanced, very well made, and just great tribute. Just to the man that I mean I know I watched Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood as a child, and
hmm
I think anyone who did will enjoy this
yeah.
movie.
And it showed the human aspect of him,
Oh, that
that
too,
this
yeah.
wasn't really a facade that he put up. Even at his most, I guess, quote unquote vulgar,
hmm
he still communicated with people who were not necessarily his how would I put it, his societal equals, where they shared the same values. These were people from the 70s, 80s who were very much into the counterculture and everything. But Mr. Rogers respected them enough that
Yeah.
he put his own twist on vulgar uh, banter, I guess,
Yeah.
quote unquote. And
Just making it more wholesome, right? Because
yeah,
TV was getting just violent and everything, and even race relations, right? Like he
hmm
just, I mean, this movie show covers everything. I think the movie itself is actually probably longer, but then it just you don't even feel like it's
no,
like a long movie, but it goes very in depth with all that. It goes, it just yeah, it just covers everything that
yeah.
you really want in a documentary film. Yeah.
Now we have best original score. We have Infinity War.
Yeah, so this movie, I mean, with the original score, I mean, it's very well made. I mean, it's a complete orchestra, right? And it's
hmm
like every character at this point is so recognizable by their introduction song that it just brings you to it.
hmm
It's very well paced. It never stop. It never stops.
No,
It never stops, and I think it's very epic score. It follows the entire film, and yeah, it was a
yeah,
good combination.
yeah. Next we have Mary Poppins. Again, a musical. Pretty easy to put this in there. But again, uh, I think what a lot of people came into this expecting was just a rehash of the original Mary Poppins. And honestly, I don't feel it was anything like that. Again, some of the scenes did feel copied, but it was more of a tribute than just straight up copying. And the music just followed the legacy of Mary Poppins as well. It felt like a Mary Poppins score, honestly.
Very very happy, very positive, right?
hmm
Again, I was surprised when it got a PG rating, right?
Yeah.
I was like, how did this not get a G rating? Like this needs to
Although
be seen for all ages, you know?
Although again,
Because
there's
of
one
the
section of the movie where there are heavy innuendos, and someone here didn't capture any of them at the time, and I don't think she's captured it since. But again,
it's very
again,
funny, but
I think
yes,
that's why I got the PG rating. And again,
that's true.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think yeah, I looked it up. I think I actually did look it up.
Oh, okay.
It's also because of the bathing suit and stuff, but it's very mild. It's not like she's not wearing a two-piece bikini or
What is
anything.
this? The 1920, the Roaring Twenties?
Yeah, no, it's very mild. Again, I think if you have a child, I think you should not be afraid to sit, right?
Yeah,
Send their kids to Mary Poppins. I recommend it. We all recommend. We all here at the Neddies.
yeah. So next we have First Man.
Oh, that song.
And
Yeah.
for me, again, the score was good. It was really good. And it really captured the essence of what Neil Armstrong went through throughout his life, up to and after the moon landing. There was a troubled man in there that tried to keep everything together because he knew there was something better out there. And the score reflected that. But the thing I really want to point out is sometimes silence speaks wonders. And for me, I like to add silence in the film as as part of the score, because when you're in outer space, you
Yeah.
you you know you it's really important that
Yeah.
you're accurate
And
with
then
it.
the score there's one reoccurring song, right, that
hmm
goes through the entire like thing, and it it caps the movie at the end, and that's like so heartwarming, right?
Yeah.
Like we were so like,
Yeah.
and the music just it helped figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
So next we have Christopher Robin. And would you like to take
Yeah, I
this
mean
one?
it's a. I mean we obviously could both talk about it. It's very very like just upbeat, score that just it's like from the beginning. I mean, it actually I feel like again one of the unique things is that this one captures a time period.
Mm-hmm.
It's very happy. I've listened to it recently, just making sure we
Yeah.
because we wanted to pick the song from Christopher Robin. We ended up picking Busy Doing Nothing, but I
Yeah.
think a lot of them are so happy, and I think there's even the millennial vibe I think Eddie got from it
Yeah.
where they tried putting in the classic song like the Tigger one. That's like,
Yeah.
and then he's just like, oh,
he,
not
d-
that one
he does
again.
this every time.
There's like heffalumps. There's like it's all your beautiful, Winnie the Pooh songs and love, but they're just updated.
Yeah.
It's very great,
Yeah.
great score. Okay, so now we're moving on to best costume design. So, I think, I mean, the moment we got out of this movie, we knew it was gonna be in here.
Yeah.
It's so good, the costumes here. So you can see I really loved the tattoo with that right here where they're like fighting and they have like the painstakingly detailed
Mm-hmm.
tattoos. I love like the suits that they were wearing. I mean that's the costumes, right?
Yeah. So the costumes were on point.
Yes.
Again, CGI was a little bad,
Hmm.
but what really brought it together was the costume design. It just made everything flow. Again, I believed that this was a nation by
Yeah.
itself that just it exuded the culture, like the culture that
Oh
they wanted to
yes,
set
to
up
a
for
very Afro
Wakanda. Hmm.
futurism. Yeah, very strong.
Yeah,
It's beautiful. And
with
it's like
its
so
cultural
coherent.
ties.
It's true. It's very
Hmm.
coherent kind of costumes, right? That everyone wear, and it contrasted with everyone else, right? Where they like
Yeah.
go back to Brooklyn or something, and they
Yep.
would, or no, not Brooklyn, San
No,
Francisco.
it was Oakland.
Oakland, yeah, go back to
Yeah.
Oakland, yeah. So
Yeah.
very fun design. Oh, sorry to bother you. Very great costume design in this
Hmm.
one too. As you can see, very fun shirts, fun. Like I mean, obviously, I think with her, I mean, the thing with the costume designer, it's really just her that gets the
Yeah.
costumes, the fun costumes.
Yeah.
Whereas, well, in Black Panther, everyone gets a cool costume.
Yeah.
But definitely worth best costume design. Very creative. I
Yeah.
mean, everything. I mean, she has more than these are just one set of earrings. If you see the movie, she keeps changing them for equally outlandish
Hmm.
pairs. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, that's I really can't add much more
That's
to that
funny.
except
I love
for
how they. I just realized that they put the villain in like the eye patch.
yeah. And that's the thing though. He that his character design is so well done, especially with costume design, that I guess I don't want to spoil the movie too much. You know, he's again he just exudes this just a strength, but later on you start noticing, that maybe the costume or the clothing is just a facade to mask some other insecurities.
Yeah, definitely. Oh my gosh, yeah, this costume design, I mean, you could see it right here. I mean, it's Mary Queen of Scots is also nominated. We have like these just beautiful dresses. We have, I think the suits even for the guys, right? They had
Hmm.
like I had like the entire army of like 1200 or like 1400s or wherever year it was.
Yeah,
And
it was
yeah, they look good.
1500s.
1500, early
Yeah,
1500s. I know because they had very primitive guns. That's how I
yeah,
remember. Yeah, early 1500s. They had an entire army, and it was all well made. It was all consistent. It was
yeah.
nice. Yeah.
And again, with period films, you have to
Mhm.
be very detailed. You have to be on point with how just everyone dressed at the time. Again, for commoners, it's a little bit easier, but when it comes to especially here, nobility, you have to be on point. If you're not, you're gonna have some troubles. You're gonna have a lot of people complaining. But I think that the costume design really brought it all together.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
very good. And then Death of Stalin. I mean,
So for me, again, another period piece, you have to be on point, and they were on point. But the
But
flamboyancy,
exaggerated version. Like
yeah,
when we saw the costume again, we will emphasize this man's costume
for
right
the
here.
general,
The general. When we saw that costume on screen, we were like,
yeah,
because they presented it and like they made the costume seem like just part of the deal. Like,
yeah. The costume was the character, and him being a character, him having such a strong character as well. It it felt like two people in like two-person reveal in one scene. And again, it's honestly, I love his reveal scene. It's probably the best reveal scene of 2018.
so I already won
Uh, you know,
a sub award within the
it
Neddies.
won a sub award within the Netties.
Okay.
And again, over here we have,
Oh, I love that. I love when it was that contrast of
yeah,
the.
and again, I wouldn't know how politicians dressed at the time, but it makes me think that that's exactly how people dressed. The main leader is all decked out in white, the finest white cloth, and you have your other bureaucrats over here or leaders uh, in nice two-piece suits, just like nothing. So
Yeah, I found that so funny. I was
mhm.
like,
It's like
what's
why?
up? Like, and again, I know people say that oh, it's not super accurate because it's British dudes playing Russians, but it's like,
An American dude's playing Russians.
yeah, but it's like, I think, I mean, obviously the whole point is that considering it's a satire, it looks very, I mean, it looks
Yeah,
accurate,
like
you know,
aside from the American and British actors, everything else was on point. Like
very,
like the satire worked because literally everything else
yeah, and I
was
mean,
on.
obviously, yeah, we love this movie. Okay, so we'll move on to.
So best film editing, we
Mhm.
have Halloween. So for me, horror is one of those finicky things, especially when it comes to editing. If done incorrectly, you have yourself a poorly made horror movie slash amazing comedy. All right, and I will say that about a lot of horror movies. When editing is done amazingly, or at least very well, you not only have a horror movie, but you have a movie that makes you exude uh, other emotions such as suspense, just a thrill of the moment. And Halloween for me did that. It was a return to form for I think horror movies, and I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that Blumhouse, it gets a lot of a flack for being a low budget studio, but the budget that it does have, it uses it very well and places it where it needs to be placed. And editing here was probably done very well.
Yeah,
No, very few jump scares,
no.
and even when you expected a jump scare, you were treated with something a lot more.
A lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even in the beginning, right? The idea to pick like that really old school like film within a film scene, like
Hmm.
that, like the security footage, it's very well,
Yeah.
very good made. Next one, this nominee
So
is Death of Stalin. So, yeah, so this movie also is. I mean, again, this is one of those movies where I know it's more than 2 hours long, and I did not feel that it was more than 2 hours long because it just
actually, it was an hour and a half.
hour and a half,
It
really?
was an hour
Oh,
and a half.
really? Oh, God, yeah, I see. There
Yeah.
you go. Yeah, so it's very I mean, yeah, it kept me very entertained because I think it was slow when it needed to be slow, and it like sped through. I mean, it just
It didn't speed
no,
through.
it didn't speed through. It just took the time it needed with every scene.
Yeah, everything was covered the amount it needed to be covered. There was no
Yes,
filler. There was nothing, additional that didn't pertain to the plot.
that's true. Yeah,
Everything uh, uh, evolved the characters, introduced you to the characters to know who they were.
yeah, and I think with film editing this movie, it would have been so tricky because you would think like, oh, how much time should we, place with actual Stalin? How much time should we be placing with the successors? How many times should we be placing with the commoners and the people?
Yeah,
But it's like they picked the exact amount of time. I've just,
yeah.
yeah,
And the
with
other thing,
each.
that I loved about Death of Stalin was that again it was a satire, so it was making fun of the whole situation. So I guess that kind of invited the invited some interesting film editing techniques that you would normally wouldn't see in a period piece to add that comedic feeling,
Yeah.
such as maybe a scene where a character was staring at someone too long, and in a period piece you'd be like, okay, this is awkward, but in a comedy, a satire, you're just like, oh, all right, cool, that's weird. That's
Yeah.
really weird that he would do that.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah.
And then American Animals. Oh,
This,
okay. This was a very tricky movie to like pull off right because it
mhm.
was half kind of documentary, half like you know drama.
Yeah.
But I think they pulled it off very well. I think like all the scenes were just. I mean, that movie kept me in suspense the whole time. I felt anxiety.
Yeah.
I was like,
And that's even knowing that, kind of kind of the interview style of the movie,
uh,
kind of giving you an idea of what's going to happen at the end.
yeah.
But again, it was done mixed so well in art and as the commoners, uh, that you know even though you kind of knew what was going to happen, they're not all in prison. Spoiler alert. But you know it gave you know how can I say it? How can I effectively say this? The film editing uh, between the actual interview and the scene was very well done.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, definitely.
yeah. So,
And
so next we
all
have
right, I have Upgrade, and now again, this is one of those movies where, oh man, it's like I feel like again it could have gone like so wrong, right?
yep.
Because the idea, I mean, like for example, a previous movie that I remember with this was Avengers 2 Age of Ultron.
Hmm.
And I feel like that was the opposite of best editing when it came to like the idea of the topic.
Yeah,
Because it was, the premise of Avengers 2, if you don't know, it's the guy is actually like a robot that turns sentient and and
yeah,
he's all and then but he only takes like he becomes sentient in like minutes, and for me that just seems so unrealistic with the whole movie and like the entire pace of the movie
yeah,
that it just threw me off. It was like, I mean, it's cool, it's like, oh, there are no strings on me, like, oh yeah, I'm sentient, but
yeah.
it just took so little time where it's like that's so unrealistic.
Hmm.
Whereas like here it's a process, like
Yeah,
a lot. I mean, we'll talk about this in some of the other categories, but yeah, it took a long time to get there.
yeah. And for me, again, it thrillers are another genre where editing
Yeah.
is key. Uh, if done wrong, again, you have yourself a very bad movie. If done correctly, it achieves what you want it to achieve. And with Upgrade, there were a lot of the scenes were done. It seemed like they were done in one take, like
Yeah.
not well, not whole scenes, but like major parts of a scene were done in just one smooth, fluid pace. And there was just the way it was filmed and edited made it connected the human aspect and the
Yeah.
AI robotic aspect as well.
Yeah, and it even had parts where it like felt so raw too. It's like,
Hmm.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So next we have Deadpool 2.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, this movie also. I mean, I think that they took a huge risk with the editing because instead of having a beginning, middle, end, Deadpool 2 has kind of more of like a beginning, like a very solid beginning,
Hmm.
and then just a middle, like, but like, and then that's like the
Yeah.
end just kind of built like melds together into one. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't have like an actual end, or like yeah, it's very interesting editing because there's no like there ends up being like the villain ends up being like not really an actual villain, not really any
Yeah.
like they're fighting. But it actually worked really well because it's a comedy. Like it's not supposed to take itself
Too
too
seriously.
seriously, and it didn't. And so it ended up like just mishmashing everything and just like laughing along the entire time, and then again having these really funny pauses with like the jokes, and
Hmm.
then the entire thing. We had like the X Force in there too, which I
Yeah.
think was really funny as well,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, like we had the X Force in there, and then I mean, it's funny how like the X Force is portrayed differently in the movie than like in the trailers, which
Hmm.
was super funny. Yeah, so
Yeah.
we had
Uh,
yeah.
and then yeah, so And also the visual comedic scenes were really well executed. The whole interviewing scenes, those were really well done. What else? There was the trainee scenes. That one was those were also very well done. So again, just everything about Deadpool 2 comedically, it was really done really well. It was done really well. Superhero wise, it was done well. So again, just very good editing in general.
Yeah. All right.
And then we have Black KK Klansman. So uh, for me, I felt that every scene in this movie had to have an importance, and it truly did. It just moved everything along. You build, you get to know your characters pretty early on, uh, very quickly, interview style basically. You get to know the main character. You get to know his partner. Just by uh, regular banter. You don't just quickly have him go into the plot. And then once you get into the plot, everything just connected. It didn't nothing no scene felt wasted. It didn't feel like there was filler here or filler there. Everything held an importance to both the characters as individuals and the overall message of the film.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I also felt like this movie took its time where it needed to,
Hmm.
and it just because it like brought home that message, right? Like
Yeah.
making. I mean, it's about the KKK, right? Like as you could see, so it's a very sensitive topic, and I think it's a topic that a lot of people feel, obviously you feel very uncomfortable, and I think you're supposed to feel uncomfortable watching this movie, and you're
Hmm.
also supposed to feel uncomfortable like seeing so many like KKK symbols and so many KKK like meetings and cross burnings and stuff, but like he kind of forces you to see it, but he also explains, like the context, and it's very good. It's very good.
Hmm.
Very good.
So, next category we have is best musical, and we have Bohemian Rhapsody in here because again, the music speaks for itself, and but just the addition of the showmanship that was portrayed elevated it into what I think would be a musical in any other category. But again, that's just me as.
Yeah, definitely. I think that the music here was, I mean, yeah, it was like it just took you along for a beautiful, just kind of musical ride that's very fun,
Mhm.
And again, it also had its serious moments. It reminded me a little bit like The Greatest Showman,
Yeah,
right? Where it like was trying to
yeah,
be. It's very fun,
yeah. And again, the music was interwoven
interwoven into the more.
into the film very well. And again, in any other situation, it would be a biopic, but the inclusion of music as part of the film was amazing.
Oh yeah. And then another nominee is Mary Poppins Returns. I feel like this movie is, I mean, the sequel, like they did it justice. It's definitely like I'm proud to like probably just show this to my kids, right? Like
Mhm.
back to back, or like one day show Mary Poppins, then show Mary Poppins
Yeah.
Returns because it just flows so well. Like all the characters come back, all the musical set pieces with the cartoons come back,
Hmm.
like but they also, and again, but Emily Blunt, I mean, she does a great job. Like, I loved her singing. I loved a lot of the people singing. I mean, I think we kind of joke that Miranda
Yeah.
doesn't like sound British. Like,
Well,
I don't,
I kind of believe he was British. Kind of.
But yeah, when I saw him on the screen, I was like, wait, Latino?
Yeah.
Like,
That was like, is this 2030?
yeah.
Yeah.
So that was funny. That was funny. But I mean, the actual music was very good. Yeah, I
Yeah.
liked it. And again, we had the reoccurring song with the misplaced things. Yeah, very
Hmm.
nice. Good. All right. So best popular film. So this is our own category that we've come up with. This for this film would be movies that we think would be popular to everyone,
Yeah.
right? So these are, and this is the only category where it's technically not just us. Like I feel like this is the movie we'd recommend to anyone.
Yeah.
And it also needed to have actually been popular, so we're counting by more than $150 million gross domestic.
Yeah.
Yep. So
So, and also we should have seen it. So that's why we don't have movies such as like The Meg or what else?
yeah, we slept on the Meg,
It's like,
slept with the fishes.
yeah, well, I'm glad I did.
Wait, what?
All right. So the first one we have is Avengers: Infinity War, and again, This one is years in the making, 8+ years in some case, in if you really think about it, and it lived up to expectations and more.
Mm-hmm.
It again, we when you first heard about Infinity Wars, it was Infinity Wars 1 and 2, and you thought, okay, well, the first one is just gonna leave you at a cliffhanger, but again, I'm okay with spoiling this one because if you haven't seen this film at this point, what's wrong with you? Uh,
The pop culture. I mean, I think that's what I'm saying. Like that's
yeah,
why it's a popular film. I think
yeah,
it just
like
made a huge pop culture
yeah,
impact. Yeah.
like 3 days after the movie came out, we still hadn't seen it because
No, I
we
blocked myself off
yeah
from
yeah,
spoilers.
but my friends started posting stuff up on our group chats about
Shout
the
out to Eddie's friends.
yeah,
Hopefully, you guys are seeing this.
hopefully we'll see. Um, where it was just like, I'm not feeling too well, Mr. Stark, and just like,
See, I wouldn't have
I
wanted to watch that. Why would I
I
have wanted to watch
look
that before the
for
movie?
me, I was just like, okay, it's just another meme. It's just like meme of the week.
Wait, did you know what was gonna happen then when you
No,
saw the
I
movie?
didn't.
What?
No,
So the spoilers.
yeah, but again, 3 days in, and you were already getting memes, and I'm pretty sure it was even before that because I was still blocking myself off
Yeah.
from social media, but just because I wanted to catch up with friends, they started posting up memes, and I had no idea where they were coming from until after I saw the movie. And yeah, so
Yeah.
again, the best popular film is just not only money, not only that we had seen
Yeah,
it,
that
but
pop culture
that
impact.
pop culture impact.
And I feel
Yeah, that's why next we have Mission Impossible Fallout, and for me, this one brought back the summer blockbuster. It kind of solidified that there was a summer blockbuster this year because Infinity Wars came out in
April 27th.
April, so it was actually moved up, and Fallout came out in July.
July 20 something, 27 or
Yeah,
so, yeah.
in July, uh, and for me it brought back the summer blockbuster. It solidified that you know Tom Cruise is still a movie star, and
Yeah, and I mean, I loved.
that the Mission Impossible series was still around for quite a while.
Yeah, I mean, I love Tom Cruise. I'm the one who kind of like dragged him in this because I had seen 2017's Tom Cruise's movie. I think it's the one I forgot the name, but yeah, the 2017 one. I really liked that one. You know, because again, he's such a cool action star. Again, in my opinion.
Hmm.
And then here, you know, he's not like
Well,
entirely
no,
like
well for
yeah,
me, I don't like him because he ruined the Mummy. So
yeah, but like
yeah,
that's one.
yeah.
I never saw the Mummy. I don't know, but yeah. So it definitely, you know, again, we saw it on opening day, and I feel
Mhm.
like this is the kind of movie that I think everyone would love, right? I feel like
Yeah,
I would recommend it to my parents. I would recommend it. We actually saw this movie with my cousin from Mexico,
yeah,
and I mean she's beginning in English and
yeah,
she still enjoyed it, right? She
yeah.
doesn't. I mean, because we told her like just watch the action, you know. It's
Yeah, and for her, she was like, I could understand some of the plot because of the action.
yeah, because the action was so good that again, so even if you don't know the language, you don't have audio, anything, you could
Yeah,
still see it. And
yeah.
I imagine I don't know if you don't see it, maybe you can hear it, but
Mhm.
it's popular, very popular.
Yeah. Next, we have
Oh
oh,
no! Whoa!
oh,
Whoa!
oh, that's not good. That's not good.
Whoa! Okay, we got Deadpool. There you go.
Hey,
We go
Deadpool 2.
again. I mean, it's popular, and I
Mhm.
mean, especially now that they actually killed PG-13, so now I feel like I can recommend it to even
More
more
people.
people. This movie, I mean, it's like it's a comedy where you don't really even have to know who Deadpool is, right? To
Yeah,
get the plot, really, like you
yeah. You
just have to
base,
come with the laughs.
yeah. And again, Deadpool 2 polished up what the first Deadpool presented, and it continued the legacy of rated R superhero films that started with Deadpool, moved
Yeah.
on to Logan, and now Deadpool 2 is carrying on. Again, there's certain properties that should have certain standards, such as Terminator should always be rated R or PG
Mm-hmm.
or a very hard PG-13. Deadpool should always be a rated R. You know, for me, I liked the PG-13 version, but again, it completely cut out. The
It
first
cut
part,
some jokes
it
and
cut some jokes
cut
and
out some of the
some
violence, yeah,
a
which is
lot of
like
the
the fun
violence.
of the violence. Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
the violence. Yeah, you have
Yeah.
to. So watch. I would say watch both versions because I mean I think one of the things Deadpool 2 was actually used to be lower on this list
Hmm.
before watching the second part, and for me it was just because it was so fast paced that I feel like a lot of the jokes, and all that was going on. It's like
Yeah.
you really like the second time you watch it, it's just so fun
Yeah.
because you get to relive
And for me, I felt
the
the
whole
first
part.
one was just good enough, and
Yeah.
the second iteration was too fast. But overall, it was still a really good,
Yeah.
funny
So
film.
watch it 2 times. I know there's another cut of it too, the Blu-ray DVD version. I say it's really good,
Yeah.
the expanded cut. So you could always watch that, would you?
Yeah.
All right.
And last one, as you saw earlier, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and this one,
Oh, and then full disclaimer: by the time we're recording this is January 21st. So this is actually still in its run.
well, we're not even recording, we're live streaming.
Oh yeah. So as of it's gonna be up on
Yeah.
the internet. So if you watch
Go.
this at a later date, this is not the final run for this movie. It's still going. So
Mhm.
even it's 100, it's already 160 million, right? It's already
Mhm.
made the 100 million club, but it's still definitely gonna increase.
Yeah.
And it hasn't released in all the international countries, so
Yeah. And
it's still gonna be more popular.
yeah, and again, this is a Spider-Man film. Spider-Man is a very big,
Popular.
popular property, and Sony has had an up and down relationship with Spider-Man, but this one was a return to form, in my opinion. The film, proved that people can still connect with an animated film, something that a lot of companies, especially Disney recently, have been shying away from, trying to go to more live action situations.
Oh
Well,
yeah, we're not. I mean, like I know if we're doing a 2020 Eddies, I don't know how many we're gonna actually pull through with the live action Disney's. It's just not interesting.
yeah, no,
No.
but when it comes to animation, Spider-Man really hit the floor running, and it's kept going. And again, it's just the story is wonderful.
Yeah.
Again, it describes perfectly who Spider-Man is. It's beyond Peter Parker. It's not just Peter Parker. It's not just Miles Morales. Spider-Man is all of us, which the movie greatly exemplifies, and just with a multitude of characters.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, best comedy,
Best
Deadpool,
comedy. Yeah.
Deadpool 2. Again, we already said it earlier.
We have
The
lots of crazy characters, crazy scenarios.
Yeah.
Yeah, then I mean, they even make fun of the fact that they got a bigger budget, but they got a bigger budget, so they
Yeah.
like were
So
able
they
to.
so they added that
They even
extra
had
CGI
the
character.
little feet, the little baby feet.
Yeah. Oh, amazing.
uh,
Again, uh, everything in this movie just worked comedically. The deadpanness, the exaggeration, the cameos.
Cameo.
And if you haven't seen one of the cameos, you should go back and watch. Everything just worked magnificently. And again, the rated R aspect of it gave it, the creative ability to go beyond basic comedy, that appeals to everyone, and something that appeals to everyone, but maybe at one point it just goes that extra step.
Yeah. Then we have the death of Stalin. So again, this movie is like it's great because it has a message, but it's funny.
Yeah.
So it's like you learn about. I think Eddie, when he got out of theater, he's like, I'm so much smarter, but it's like I had fun, learning this. So
Yeah.
it's like I learned about, roughly we learned about the history of the Soviet Union, the
Uh-huh.
50s, but this is just
Just
hilarious.
the turmoil that goes on after a leader is,
Out of power, and yeah, and what happens with the totalitarian societies, and
hmm
I mean, it's so fun. They show totalitarianism. The image of totalitarianism seems so dreadful, but so funny. Like,
yes, it just showed the chaoticness of it all. Not only just of the system in itself, but of the people who run it, who are, let's be
all
honest,
idiots,
all idiots, same as us. They just have a little bit more money
more
and
power.
power.
Yeah, that's all
So
that matters. Yeah,
that's why, again, it's a period piece, but that doesn't really take itself too seriously. And again, it has American actors who don't even try to get the accent.
No,
When you have Steve Buscemi
just
being a Russian, speaking in a New York accent, you know that you're in for a good time.
yeah, game night.
Game night.
Oh, this,
Okay,
yeah.
so this one was a movie that was lost early in the shuffle for me. Uh, it was very good. We went into it. We really had no idea what to expect. Honestly, we went into it. We saw game pieces, and we saw blood, and at that point, we had no idea what was going to go on. And
I knew nothing about this movie. I mean, we saw the trailers a lot because again, we at this point we had already been watching a lot of movies, but it was just like the joke with the airplane.
mhm,
But it's like the actual good joke was the one with the poodle, because that physical comedy right there, where again you have blood
mhm.
and you're trying to wash the blood off of a poodle, and then it's like we'll let you see the movie to figure out
What's gonna happen?
how that
Yeah.
goes.
It's like, what happens next? And
And
again, I think this is a comedy that even Denzel would approve of.
yeah, Denzel
Yeah.
definitely. And I mean, the characters were great. I think I love how different they were, and I mean, I love how in the end it actually had a pretty good message.
Mhm.
That I think it's a message that a lot of millennials again are going through their minds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, this movie! Oh gosh,
mhm.
yeah, it's great. I mean, you obviously you should pitch into with this, but
Okay, so this is this is the stupid frat bro comedy that we all need once in a while. Again,
it's so stupid.
it's
It's so
it's
stupid.
idiotic, cubed, not even squared. It's idiotic cubed. And again, sometimes you just need
Oh,
a little
whoa,
bit.
whoa, whoa. Okay, no, I mean, nothing, right? We're doing best comedy right
Yeah.
here.
Again, our technology is a little uh,
New.
new, so we're still learning how to do all this. But yeah, going back to it, Super Troopers 2 is one of those stupid comedies you need sometimes to counteract some of the smarter
Yeah, we
comedies
had
that you have
watched
out there.
Game Night, which had like this positive message, and then we were like, Super Troopers 2 has no message.
It doesn't.
And that's okay. I
Yeah,
feel
that's
like
fine.
that still leads it in the best comedy because it doesn't need a message.
It doesn't. And again, the jokes were on both ends of the spectrum. They were nice and tame, but just out there. Just like I, there are people out there who swallow their M&Ms whole. By the way,
That was so funny. The
just know that.
swallowing M&Ms was my favorite part because of the
Yeah,
physical comedy. There's a bear in there.
yeah,
There's a bear in there.
yeah,
The trailer for Super Troopers 2 is almost as good as the movie,
yeah,
but it's just so if you are interested, watch the trailer
yeah.
because it has a lot of that cool stuff in it.
But then on the other side, you have your non-PC.
Non PC jokes,
Yeah,
your pullover jokes, your
yeah.
stereotypical kind of like the female hormones and all that stuff. Ah, I get so crazy,
And
but
then okay, then you have the Stephen Hawking one, which I'm pretty sure was way
oh,
before he passed on.
yeah, there was a Stephen Hawking joke, and I'm like, oh,
This was it was amazing. I loved it. I loved it. I don't care who you are, what you believe in. That was amazing.
it's a stupid movie. Don't come in with your filter, your PC filter,
Yeah,
because
just
definitely that will offend you in many ways.
it will. TRIGGERED.
Okay, and blockers.
So
Mhm.
honestly, I had forgotten about this film for quite a while, but then once I actually remembered it, I remember having a really good time watching this film.
It's a good movie again, just like the others. Great physical comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Again, well, this is in the trailer, so it's not spoiling anything with the ass beer, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
No,
it's not spoiling anything. It's literally in the trailer, but it's like, but you get to see the whole scene. You
yeah,
get to see the whole
and then
thing,
the
and it's
After Effects,
hilarious.
yeah,
And it's hilarious.
yeah,
But it also has a great message.
yeah. Again, it shows the other side of uh, coming into your own, finding
Confidence.
out who you really are. Again, one of the first times you really go through that is when, teenage years, high school, you're trying to figure out who you are. And the other time is when you become a parent. What do you do, especially if you only have one child? Who who is going to show you what the correct path to raising a child is? What's the correct path to teaching them life lessons? And blockers, even though the name is out there, especially with the innuendo with that picture, you know it it tackles both sides of the same issue. You know, finding yourself as both an emerging adult and an adult who's trying to do their best to lead another young life.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Oh,
yeah. Go
yeah.
ahead. No, that's
Oh,
it.
no, no, no. Did you want to?
No, we're good.
Okay.
All right. Best sound editing. So again, the first nominee for this is First Man. I mean, I think First Man showed us that silence in an editing is just as important as the music, right? So we loved the First Man score, but we also loved how they use sound because it is night and day when Neil Armstrong hops into the Gemini and like the space shuttle,
Hmm.
like the sound is just it becomes completely silent. Everyone's silent, and it just emphasizes like how you're in space. No one's gonna rescue you. Like there's no way out. Like you're
Hmm.
in space.
Yeah, the tension. It built tension.
Yes.
That's the silence. It built tension
Yeah.
so well, and yeah, that's why sound editing
It's
is
so good in this movie.
is so good in this movie. Yeah.
All right.
Next, we have upgrade, and for me, the one thing that the editing does for upgrade is it enhances the action that's going on in the scene.
Oh yeah.
During the fighting sequences, you know, you get that sense that, you know, there it's more than just the fighting. There's something else going on inside. You know, there's a purpose to the fight. There's a purpose to who is doing what action and why. Again, it just sets the tone for the movie, and I loved how just ingrained I became during every one of those fighting scenes and every one of the chase scenes, and you know, just the building of the thrill of the chase, the thrill of the fight.
Oh yeah, I mean those robot sounds and like it's like you again, not machine. You're not man, not machine. More, it's like
Hmm.
do you want to have that sound in your head? Do you want to have that little those
Yeah,
augmented parts? It's
yeah. It
it's
basically
so
it
good
placed you in
in their head.
in
Yeah.
their head. You know, you felt the struggle that
Mhm.
was going on.
Yeah. And Alpha. I mean, this is just nature. It's like this is obviously takes place in primitive place, so there wasn't like there was this could have just been like a documentary kind of sound, but no, they blended music with the sound of nature in a way that was very nice. It was very calming too. The scenes with the
Hmm.
wolf and with the boy, very
Hmm.
very good. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, not much to add there. Yeah, just the awe of nature was captured very well
With the sound.
in with the sound in this film.
And then Sicario, I mean, this one is again with the tension, that tension they had the sound they had like the middle of the I mean there's so
Yeah,
many places. I mean this place gets shot. This
yeah,
movie gets shot in so many places and it's like in the middle of the desert
hmm,
and you can tell. You can
yeah.
feel it with the sound.
And I actually just saw it yesterday because my mom and dad were
Oh, you
watching
did?
it,
Oh, interesting.
and again, the shootouts were amazing. You know, everything just the crunch of some things, just it, everything just just exude the situation. Just you felt everything that was happening.
Best juvenile actor. So we actually didn't have too many juvenile actors we liked this year,
Yeah,
but we did have two that we were wowed by. We were
yeah.
like, these are great.
All
Mm-hmm.
right. First, we have Julian Dennison in Deadpool 2. So I learned that he's actually appeared in other films.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't know that, but again, it kind of shows that he has promise to be a very good actor. Sort of like the actress who played X-23 last year in Logan. Just
Mm-hmm.
the character was really well represented. You know, it was still a child trying to find himself in a world where he only knows abuse, and he pairs up well with Deadpool, who knows that feeling, who understands what he's going
Yeah,
through,
that's that connection.
and I feel like like what was his name in the film? It was
Russell?
Russell. Russell in the film connects with him
Yeah.
because he has like, oh, this man understands what I went through. He's gonna be there for me.
Hmm.
And again, just like the
Yeah, but
development.
it's still tension, right? It's still not like a
Hmm.
complete trust, right? It's
Yeah,
very realistic,
yeah, and
right?
even towards the end, the character just continues evolving. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It As a child actor, you could feel the pain that he was supposed to be exhibiting,
Hmm.
which a lot of child actors have trouble
Yeah,
doing.
definitely.
And next we have Mouse Truitt.
Master, yeah. So he's the person, actor in Kin. Again, which is this movie itself is very patchy, right?
Hmm.
But he does a good job acting like
Yeah,
a kid would in a situation. Like I didn't find it unrealistic in any ways. Whereas again, we always might try to make fun of the actor who played Wrinkle in Time. I mean, obviously, I'm sure he's young. If he's watching this, I'm sure you can get better.
yeah,
But in like, we did not really like Charles in Wrinkle in Time because it felt kind of fake, right?
yeah,
Like again, not realistic. Like he's just kind of placed there like an alien
yeah,
in a movie, and it's like it kind of took me out of the movie. Him though, Miles Turret though, he seemed like he's a kid that's just in a hard situation, and he reacts to seeing this gun and interacting with a gun in a way a kid would, right? A kid is not gonna grab a gun and be like, "Yeah, it's a
yeah,
gun." And the kid's gonna be scared of a
yeah.
gun. The kid's gonna be very apprehensive
The
about it.
the trepidation that
Trepidation.
there's still something. It's still a danger. It's still a weapon, and
He retreats it. Yeah.
yeah, he treats it with the respect that a weapon needs to be treated. And again, you know, there was a lot of controversy with this film, but if people actually went out to see this film, the character really,
Yeah,
the
because
actor really
he's
played the
supposed to be
character
like a
well.
troublemaker, but at the end of the day, he's still a kid, and I
Yeah.
think he showed both sides. He showed like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be a troublemaker in
Hmm.
school, but it's like, yeah, when confronted with a gun, I'm not just gonna go crazy with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, best visual effects. So these are the movies we thought had amazing effects. I mean, Infinity Wars. So we already said we saw this in IMAX 3D, and we also think that this movie had like very very wowing visual effects because all the scenes that were recreated, again, they ranged from really dark and bleak, like when they were making the hammer, to very colorful, like when they were in the land, the one with the Doctor Strange and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, very like, and then even like the early fight scenes, like all of those effects, they were so varied that they never felt boring, right? Whereas
Hmm.
other movies, like I know Justice League, we saw it and it all seemed the same, right? Like
Yeah.
a
Really, very bland.
very
No,
bland
no
world.
character behind it.
Very bland
Yeah.
world. Whereas this world seemed very developed, very
Yeah.
beautiful.
And even the the action sequences, like the little spell
Oh,
that Doctor
beautiful
Strange.
visuals. Yeah,
Yeah.
very
So
beautiful
again,
visuals.
just everything seemed to polish in this film.
Yeah. And then same thing with this. I mean, I like obviously something with Mission Impossible that makes it unique because it's still using more,
Practical.
live action effects. I'm sure with Avengers, it's a mix between CGI.
Hmm.
This one, it's like you could tell it's their own effects. I mean, there's overlays with GPS too
Hmm.
that are very fun that they play around with.
Yeah.
Actually, make a little
Yeah.
joke out of it too. It's very fun. And then the edit again, the visual effects, even the panning out when you see again those huge scalings of the
Hmm.
walls, and when you see the
Yeah.
mountains, and very
Everything is
good,
just beautiful.
very
Yeah.
beautiful.
Let's see. Next we
You have
have
Ant-Man and the Wasp, which again the visual effects there. I mean, they're trippy as heck. They're
yeah.
like, you've seen that meme, shooting stars, right?
Yeah.
It reminds you of that. I was
It
like,
reminds the first one reminded me, and then the second one
just brought it back.
just brought it back. We actually ended up looking up shooting stars again for Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah,
Although we didn't find anything at the time, I
because it
think
was the same day. I'm sure
yeah,
now if we look it up, maybe we'll find
yeah.
something.
So
But I mean, I also like the visual effect here. Very unique style in that, like, they have to keep going from small to large,
yeah,
right? And so it's like everything that you see in real life, like a building that's in
mhm,
concrete, they had to make a CGI tiny version.
yeah,
But then they made like a prop version,
yeah.
and they
So
like intertwined all of
it
those.
was really well done.
Very well done, very cute. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Upgrade.
Yeah.
So again, with Upgrade, just everything it create the whole environment felt like a world that we're going to be in the future. just with drones, with the city
Oh,
effects.
I love the drone scenes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just everything seemed very colorful, but very dreary at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, which Upgrade needs
Yeah.
to create because it's that transition from the modern world over to what we expect the future to be. Even though there's multiple interpretations, I feel this one was the most like the visual effects captured
Yeah.
everything
And again, you
that's
get
gonna
into
be.
the brain. You have like the UI, right? It's
Hmm.
like very good visual
Yeah,
effects stuff. And then next category we have best black and white character.
and
So
it's not what you would expect,
yeah, we have
honestly.
two nominees that we thought really were the best black
Yeah,
and white characters. We have first one is
Venom.
Venom. Oh, well, just show them a picture of the guy. Okay, terrifying picture of the guy. Okay, so Venom. I mean, I think he just was such a great compliment to obviously what was the name Hardy? What was it? I don't know what the name
Tom
was.
Hardy.
No, that's the name of the actor. That's not the character.
That, that did you believe Tom Hardy was Eddie Brock?
So Eddie Brock, yeah, great compliment. Obviously, he was the comedic foil. Very similar. Again, in a way, kind of similar to Upgrade, in which he's an AI, but he's a symbiote though. Very different in that he's like. Do you really trust a symbiote though?
I wouldn't.
Do you trust
No,
a symbiote?
no.
Next character that's nominated for best black and white character
We
is
have Spider-Man Noir, and again, my first exposure to Spider-Man Noir was in the video game, Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, and back then the character was a little bit more serious, tone and everything, but I loved what Nicolas Cage did for the character, and I was surprised it was Nicolas Cage. I didn't know it was Nicolas Cage until I actually saw the credits. But the Spider-Man Noir in this one, it has the seriousness from the video games that you would expect from the comic books, but at the same time, Nicolas Cage brings in his own like personality into it, and it gives it that quirkiness that you would expect from a Spider-Man character, especially one such as this one. Over the top, dramatic, but at the same
oh
time,
yeah, so fun.
he is so like again, he's from a black and white world, so everything. So
He's so
when his first exposure to color, he would act like a person who had never seen color before would act, just with
That's
the curiosity of a toddler.
beautiful, beautiful.
Amazing.
All right, best Latino representation.
Uh,
So this first one, yeah, we have Michael Pena.
yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't like Michael Pena from Ant-Man.
What?
They feel
No,
like
yeah, but we.
they feel like he is a Latino caricature, just.
um.
But I'm just. But for me, look, I'm gonna tell you why comic Latinos as comic reliefs are the best, and we should embrace them for what they are. Look, we all have those siblings, either your brother, your cousin, whoever it might be, maybe even an uncle, who are like Marco Peña. Someone who was in prison, but they're not really a bad guy. It's just a situation they were in. But again, it's just the comic relief. They're fast, smooth talkers. They know people. Trying to do better in their lives. Again, as a character, in a serious superhero movie, you would be like, he's kind of poor acting. But when it comes to Ant-Man and the Wasp, it's not really trying to take itself too seriously. Because trust me, if you try to make an Ant-Man and the Wasp serious movie, you're gonna have a lot of taboo topics to talk about, such as like abuse and marital abuse. Let's just keep it to nice and light. Michael Pena is a
Oh,
great
he's so
compliment
funny. Did you
to
hear
everyone else
that?
in the film. Yeah,
And then, yeah, I mean, he's great. And then, I mean, shout out again, honorable mention, movies we wish we would have seen. The Mule. I've heard Michael Pena probably.
yeah,
He might have made it in there with the Mule, but
yeah,
we'll keep going with what we saw.
yeah.
So we have Benicio del Toro in Sicario. So again, this is you would think best Latino representation. Why he's a murderer, but he's a complex character. He actually really is, right? He's more
Hmm.
than just the Sicario.
Yeah.
He shows he shows a huge breadth of personality in this film, and then he also speaks great Spanish. So I mean, great representation, great he even makes a norteño accent.
Yeah.
So for my family is from northern Mexico, so I got that even higher Mexico than where I
Yeah.
am, kind of like
And then
like
and then we have
see,
then we have the sign language going on as well. That again, just a character in general, he's a very strong protagonist.
Very
But
strong
even
Latino.
throughout the film, I feel like just the presence himself was enough to drive the film, which is good when it comes to character building because he wasn't in the movie like
Mm-hmm.
for like a good amount, like 40% of the movie. But when he wasn't there, he commanded the screen.
Yeah.
He was a Sicario.
And then we have Shamik Moore in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So from the moment we saw like the beginning of the movie has a reggaeton, and we're like we're in the middle of like Harlem, Brooklyn area. We are right into the Latino culture.
Yeah.
And I feel like it was just so fun because again, like you don't usually see Latino characters as the mains
Mm-hmm.
in superhero movies, so it was just delightful because again the movie isn't about him being Latino, but he really is into the culture and
Yeah.
he shows it. Yeah.
And through this film, I would like to make Mr. Shamik Moore a honorary Latino
Yeah.
because he really portrayed the character very well. Again, especially it's very difficult as a dual, you know, uh, as a dual
Like Afro Latino.
Afro Latino
Yeah.
to find representation, and Mr. Moore was able to convey who Miles Morales was through his voice acting, and I honestly I thought it was like a Latino character or an Afro Latino character, but no,
No.
he
Yeah.
did his best to represent the culture the best he could, and he did amazing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Great. So best adapted screenplay. So once we actually announce the winners, we are gonna take a look at the original screenplay. But this
Mm-hmm.
is just from our first thoughts.
Yeah.
All right, so we have Infinity Wars, which comes from the Infinity Gauntlet Marvel comic
Yeah.
series, and okay, we have Black Hicket Klansman that comes with an autobiography. So this is a real story, and I think
Mm-hmm.
it did a good job at being a real story for
Yeah.
sure.
And so the name of the actual story
Oh yeah,
is from Black Klansman, Race Hate and the Undercover Investigation of a Lifetime.
yeah. We have Can You Ever Forgive Me, which comes from. It's also an autobiography. It's interesting. We have two
Yeah.
autobiographies in there,
Mm-hmm.
and we haven't talked about this movie yet. It is the actual story itself is very good. I
Yeah.
mean, it is really fun that it's a true story because like the fact that someone can get away with literally memoirs of a literary forger. So that's
Yeah.
the name of the original.
Mm-hmm.
And we have The Death of Stalin, which comes with the Death of Stalin graphic novel. So now you've actually read the original
Mm-hmm.
source. So can you
Yeah.
see how it adapted to screenplay?
Yeah, it was again the tone was a little different, but overall it was really accurate, really centered with the comic. So I would say it's pretty
It's
cool.
it's it's a
Yeah,
contender.
it's a contender. So yeah, so aside from these, we have best original screenplay.
Oh, okay. We have Isle of Dogs. So this is definitely more than your standard Lost Dog movie, right? Right now
Hmm.
in theaters, we have a Lost Dog. We have a lot of Lost Dog movies, but this is
Yes.
way more than that because it becomes this whole conspiracy,
Yeah.
and it's very fun. It's a very fun ride. I mean, I actually don't even remember all of it now because it's a when you're seeing the movie, everything just makes sense. Even though it's so crazy, like
Hmm.
they make it with like policies and official like things,
Yeah.
and then they have like the Japanese culture aspect to it added on to, which is
Yeah.
very beautifully made. And so, yeah,
It's very respectful. Again, there was a lot of uh, uh, controversies that it was uh, what was it?
yeah, it's a pleasant movie
It was
with
a very
Japanese
pleasant movie.
Japanese
It
culture
the
was
controversy in the beginning was a non-factor. This movie was really good.
respectful. And again, I also do want to give a shout out. I know this movie is PG-13, but I do think it's good for kids. I mean,
It,
I'd
it
say
is.
I definitely think that if you are younger than 13, you should
Yeah.
still watch it.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of like it does not have anything there that
It's not really nothing.
inappropriate for
Yeah.
younger than 13 kids.
Why was it PG
I
13?
mean, that and Mary Poppins are probably the two that I want to mention, just
Yeah.
in case that if you want to watch it,
Yeah.
don't let the rating scare you.
Yeah.
And then we have Upgrade, Best Original Screenplay, yes, because I mean, obviously, again, there's been things that are tiny bit have already been done, right? Like
Hmm.
Space Odyssey and again
Yeah.
Age of Ultron and like the
Yeah.
tiny bit, but it's like this one took it a whole new like
Yeah.
direction, and Oh gosh,
Like,
just keep going.
yeah, it was very action packed. Everything just kept on. It just kept piling on top of each other. And it was a thriller, suspenseful, horror in some parts. It it kind of reminded me of a visually polished Terminator, where the Terminator, when it came out, it was a horror
Mhm.
movie.
Mhm.
Upgrade is the same way in the terms of, it's not necessarily something that's new, but it's brought into its own, and just everything just keeps moving, keeps, yeah, I just can't, yeah,
Yeah, it's a good, very original story. Again, don't let the idea of just like, oh, it's just a man human. Like, no,
no,
like
no,
it's original. Very go ahead.
yeah,
Another original story. I mean, this is gonna be a tough category. I like, I don't even know who's gonna win. We're
yeah,
gonna,
yeah,
it's gonna be tough because this is also such an original story. It's like, it's a movie about telemarketing. Like, who would have thought that was a screenplay, right?
yeah,
If you see the trailer for this, it's just a movie about telemarketing, and I don't, you don't know how that's gonna be a movie, but it's a movie.
yeah.
It's
It's just a roller coaster that keeps your attention the whole time. Once you think, you're getting to the end, something predictable, bam, it gets you with something new.
yeah.
Again, the movie will keep you guessing what's going on, and again, there's a deeper meaning to
And
all
there's a
this.
deeper message too.
Yeah,
It's a critique against our current system of capitalism. I think,
but let's
yeah,
leave it at that because we
yeah,
don't want to.
definitely. We don't want to spoil it, but it's funny how again it's original screenplay, and then some people thought it was referring to like current situations,
Yeah,
but it's not. That was
no,
written in 2014,
yeah,
so he called it.
yeah, nailed it.
And then another original story, which again also funny because okay, this one it's not really a spoiler. It's literally the beginning. It's the beginning of the movie,
Hmm.
and it's actually this is in the trailer, the
Hmm.
plot line. But it's funny how this screenplay is about the idea, not that it actually happened, the idea of Muslims crossing into the southern border and like
Hmm.
making their way to the United States to invade us through, the Mexican border,
Yeah,
and and just the repercussions of thinking that way.
no,
And it's funny how again it actually was original because this came out on June 29, but then President Trump actually was announcing like
yeah, his plans too.
his plan to stop immigration from the Muslim
Yeah,
population from the southern border. So it's funny how the story is original. It's coming to real life,
yeah.
and definitely.
So next we have best makeup and hairstyle, and first we have Mary Queen of Scots, and
You want to
yeah, just
focus on this
all you have
makeup?
all you have to mention is Margot Robbie, how eloquently she portrayed the character, but how the makeup and hairstyle just went contrary to how eloquent she was in public. Um, so again, just a pale white, it
Mhm.
captured the prestige of having fair skin. This isn't fair skin, as you can tell, but
Okay,
fair
just one more
skin,
time.
fair skin. It, it's haunting. It really is haunting. That's all I can say. The hairpiece was amazing. I
It's
like right now. I'm just stuck for words because I
stuck
don't.
for one,
I
yeah.
don't because
Yeah, we don't want to like just repeat
spoil it.
ourselves,
Yeah,
but yeah,
spoil it too much too. But again, this
her
isn't.
makeup changes
Uh
with
huh.
her personality, and I think that's great. It shows the dedication that the makeup and
Yeah.
hairstylist really had,
And
and
and the other thing I kind of want to bring up
yeah, go ahead.
is the makeup she has on top. You have to then think there's a scene later on where she gets smallpox and it just scars her face. But the thing is, they did it in such a way, the makeup over it, that you could still see the smallpox scars. You could still
Ooh,
see the bumps.
yeah, that's
So
true.
it's,
Yeah, I did not. Yeah, I didn't remember that, but
yeah.
it's definitely, yeah. So definitely check this movie out, and then check out the makeup and hairstyle.
Hmm.
Great. And then a Bohemian Rhapsody. So this one's another movie where I think makeup just took a really big role because it's Freddie Mercury, right? It's a man. Males usually don't wear makeup, and in this case, there's a really good scene in which he's experimenting with
Yeah.
makeup. So I mean, this movie just takes makeup. in film to a new level where it's just it pauses and it really makes you think, and then it makes you think also because again Mary, right, her dabbling into like, oh, do I really want to have a boyfriend that wears makeup, but then obviously still accepting him the way he is,
Hmm.
and it's makeup is taken in a very, and obviously hairstyle, you wanted to mention that.
Yeah, the hairstyle, it was on point. It went through all the variations of who Freddie Mercury was through his hairstyle. So
And then the mustache, you want
and the
that,
mustache. The
which I'm
mustache
sure
was
still
amazing.
is hairstyle.
Seriously, it's amazing. Like I can do that.
And then Black Panther. I think my favorite part about the makeup and hairstyle here is the braiding. I think a lot of the characters have really beautiful. Here you can't see her too much, but I mean her braiding is.
Yeah,
I mean, again, that must have taken hours, and I just know from my friend who braids hair, who
mhm,
gets her hair braided. I mean that braided, beautiful. And then the makeup. I don't know if again that tattooing counts as the makeup or the costume, but
yeah.
it's that line.
It's part
Black
of it.
Panther fits both scenes, both categories.
Yeah, and we're
Okay.
going on to best animated feature film. So this one was a surprise. It's uh, Teen Titans Go to the Movies. It came out of nowhere, for me at least, because again I've had seen some of the
He didn't like the
cartoon.
trailers. He said the
I,
trailers were dumb.
yeah, the trailer. This is one of those things where the promotion has to be on point, and it wasn't. Especially with I actually seen the
Like,
animated series, and it wasn't. Again, it's not what I expected. I wasn't pleased with it. So once I found out that there was going to be a movie about it, I was appalled.
I mean, I always wanted to give it a shot. I think we
Hmm.
saw every single superhero movie that came out
Yeah,
this year. So, uh, yeah. So we were. For me, I was in the whole like I'm just gonna see it because it's a superhero movie and I want to see them all. But he was like, I'll probably skip this one, and he
yeah,
did skip it. He skipped the first run. We had to go to the second run theater to see
yeah.
it.
And I'm glad I actually saw it. It was way better than I thought it would be. It played up its
Satire
satire very well. The way it doesn't really play out in
in the
TV,
trailers.
in the trailers or in television, but in this movie it played out really
It's a
well.
huge satire. It's not what you expect. The personalities of superheroes are supposed to be noble and strong, and they're
Hmm.
supposed to have some redeeming qualities. These kids are just brats,
Yeah,
and you would think it's annoying, but it's actually very well. Like it's funny, and it has enough parody that it like definitely makes it worth it.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this yeah.
So Spider-Man
Spider-Man
into
into Spider
Spider-Verse,
Verse.
I already said it. I feel Spider-Man into
Great.
Spider-Verse gave animation that prestige up again. Uh, Again, it's not hand-drawn animation, but it's still animation, and
It's
I think it could be a forefront into what could be done with a
yeah.
lot of
I
stories
mean,
in
it
the
has
future.
some 2D,
It has some 2D.
but then it mixes it so well because I mean it's almost kaleidoscope like a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
fight scenes
Yep.
because because it's into the Spider Verse, it's traveling dimensions, and I think this movie shows what you can do when a movie is animated versus live action. They took that, they're like, oh, we're animated, and they took advantage, they took full
Mm-hmm.
advantage of the fact that it was animated. Like they could not have made these scenes with CGI or actors. A lot of these scenes were
Mm-hmm.
so exaggerated.
Yeah, that you needed.
You needed animation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And lastly, we have Isle of Dogs. And for me, the miniatures were adorable. It's you might say contrary, but I feel that miniatures are a form of animation. You have to draw, you have to cut these out, you have to put them together, and you have to play them out
Yeah.
just right. And also, the story was pretty good, but again, just the animation was just so beautiful. It felt lifelike.
Yeah, I felt like I was in a diorama in real life. I
Hmm.
felt like I was being treated to just, and especially if you watch it in a theater where all the walls are black and you're
Hmm.
just seeing what's in front of you, you feel like you're watching like a puppet play.
Yeah,
And it's so gorgeous. And again, the characters are very well detailed too. I
yeah,
felt like all the dogs, I mean, you can even see from these posters, like all the dogs here look different, and you could tell
yeah,
each and every dog, and you could see the personality from, yeah, from each of the dogs.
yeah.
And we have
So,
our,
best
yeah,
supporting
best
actress.
supporting actress. We're starting to get up there with
Yeah.
Lucy Boynton. So she is again in Bohemian Rhapsody, and she was a great foil
Hmm.
great foil slash compliment.
Yeah. Next we have Zazie Beetz.
Oh, we put her
Give
name here.
me. Uh, luck was definitely on her side because she became the best part of Deadpool 2. So many characters were introduced, but she was the best,
X Force.
charismatic.
Oh,
Yeah,
there was.
she was charismatic,
Yeah,
beautiful, and just everything. Just again, the character she played it so well.
yeah. She was
Yeah,
so smooth and
yeah,
acrobatic and stuff,
and
and
it,
she.
and she complimented Deadpool's confidence well because she was just as confident.
She was she was actually more confident in some
Confident, yeah.
pieces and stuff.
Yeah.
She was like,
She's
oh,
just like stuff works out for me.
yeah, yeah, it's fine. So
Yeah.
funny. And then we have Margaret Robbie again with Mary Queen of Scots. She was
Queen
again
Elizabeth.
great kind of foil slash compliment to Mary Queen of Scots.
Yeah.
And obviously in real life she plays Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah. And again, she wasn't very. She was more than one dimensional. She had multiple. She felt like a human being.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
she's very strong, assertive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just showed like what a woman could be, even in that age, because she had so much power, and seeing it's very refreshing.
Mm-hmm.
And that,
We do have an honorable mention.
oh yeah, so again, since I watched this movie, so again it's not eligible to win, but I do want to give a shout out to Anne Hathaway for Ocean's 8. I feel like she was the she was a supporting character,
Mm-hmm.
but she really complimented the movie because little her fun, vibrant personality that just so Anne Hathaway,
Yeah.
very. I'm sure you've seen the other Anne Hathaways. Like,
Yeah.
have you seen Princess
Yeah.
Bride?
Yeah.
Also, like where she's just so she has that beautiful personality, and then she's stuck in this spy situation, so
Man, Princess Diaries,
shenanigans.
right?
Wait, what? Shenanigans ensure, and she does a great job just being herself. Honestly, she was
Yeah.
I think that she was just herself in this movie, and it worked out.
Yeah. All right. Best supporting actor. We have Adam Driver.
From
From
Black
Black
KK
KK Klansman.
Klansman.
Again, playing a black man infiltrating the KKK is a very important role. But imagine being a Jewish man actually going to the rallies and becoming part of the KKK. Adam Driver did that amazingly. It again, you could see the conflict, you could see the danger that he was going through, and he expertly went through a lot of it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's great, and he's handsome.
Yeah, no,
We'll post that in there. Steve Carell from the movie Vice. He played Donald Rumsfeld,
mm-hmm.
and I think he did such a good job of being an exaggerated version of his comedy films.
Mm-hmm.
But still like actually in character. Like
Mm-hmm.
he was in character as Donald Rumsfeld, being not PC, being just kind of wild, but still trying to get stuff done in the government.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
Steve Carell played that role. He was so funny, but you can also feel like you were almost there
Mm-hmm.
with Donald Rumsfeld.
Next we have Jeffrey Tambor, and again, just he played such the idea of a dim-witted and monotone leader,
Yeah, in
with
Death of
in
Stalin.
Death of Stalin, that
Mm-hmm.
it complemented the other characters who were just chaotic and cunning and cutthroat. He was a change of pace of the chaos. He brought stability to the entourage, and yeah, I've seen some of his other works, and he's basically similar in character. So I do like his inclusion in this film,
Yeah.
and he's now a supporting actor.
And then we have James Franco from the movie Kin. And so Kin is
Mm-hmm.
actually very he's like an amazing villain, and then
Mm-hmm.
he's like just ruthless.
Yeah,
But he's like you would think that's totally Franco. Like
yeah,
he gets to just like be the most evil character you can
yeah,
possibly be. He's but then he still even then he still has emotion, right? He
yeah,
still has to suffer a lot
yeah. He does.
in the movie, and I feel like this movie itself would have been better if this was the only villain.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't even the only villain, so that's
Yeah,
why he's supporting actor.
yeah,
But if he was the only villain, this movie
yeah.
could have been better. Go ahead.
And second, we have Michael B. Jordan in Black Panther. And again, he could have been the main character of this film. He was that charismatic. He just played uh, his role really well. The lead was not as
Exciting.
exciting as he was in Civil War, but Michael B. Jordan, he just brought character to this
Yeah, like he
film.
had such a deep philosophy that
Hmm.
was well developed and that really reflected the times that we live in.
Hmm.
In a way, I was almost rooting for the villain. I think a lot of people were, but I think you were,
Hmm.
until he like shot his girlfriend. I was like, oh well, I guess I shouldn't be rooting for the villain. I should be.
Well,
And then you were.
cutthroat. You gotta be cutthroat, especially
Uh,
to get what you want to get.
so he's your actor instead
Yeah.
of supporting actor.
Hmm. All right. So next we have best non-human supporting actors.
Yeah. Okay.
So we have the Wolfram Alpha.
Okay, so we have here, as you can see here, Wolf is a little more
Yeah.
calm, but he,
Yeah.
it had a range though.
Yeah. Again, it could have been the fact that it was probably CGI, and just it. But when the wolf was actually out there, it built to the whole plot of the movie. It just kept everything moving along.
Yeah,
Next, we
we have
have
the AI from Upgrade. So this is the voice, right? That's speaking to Upgrade.
mhm,
Speaking to
to the
the
character.
to the character, and I mean, it's very just that dynamic, right? Where
Hmm.
that it's like do you want the AI to be the main character, or do you
Yeah,
want it to keep bringing him
yeah,
down a notch to
yeah.
supporting character?
But he was all. It always seemed like he was there.
It was that
Yeah,
tension, which is also the good thing from Wolf from Alpha, right? It's always
yeah,
that tension of like, is the wolf gonna eat the human, or is the human gonna like
yeah,
kill the wolf, or is the
yeah.
human gonna yeah? So it's
Mhm. So next we have Stan Lee from Teen Titans Go to the Movies.
okay, gotcha.
Again, the late Stan Lee. It didn't matter that it wasn't a Marvel movie. He still he just
He just
liked
wanted to
superhero.
be in there.
Yeah. So it was amazing. Not important to the plot at all, but just it added a certain flair to the movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have Colossus from Deadpool 2. So this again, great foil, and then he also develops during the movie, which is something we didn't see in the original
No.
Deadpool.
Not at all.
So definitely an improvement here, where
Hmm.
he grows as a character. He becomes a more understanding
Hmm.
character, and also great jokes, kind of great little solid pieces of metal are always fun comedic devices too.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. We have Best Actress now. Amy Adams. She was a fantastic compliment
Vice.
in Vice to um, Dick Cheney, the character. Uh, Christian Bale was amazing, but Amy Adams in the beginning really set the character forward to where
Yeah.
we knew who we knew how Dick Cheney became who he was. Amy Adams
She
put
took control.
yeah,
She took control a lot of the times. Yeah.
especially early on. She felt as the driving force that propelled uh, Belle's
Mhm.
character to move
Yeah.
forward in the film.
We have Emily Blunt. So I mean, she just nailed Mary Poppins.
Hmm.
She had that same tone, that same no nonsense, that same like practically
Hmm.
perfect in every way.
Yeah,
Demean.
she basically became Mary Poppins in the at the end of
Yeah.
the film, and
And
well, since the beginning of the
since the
film. But
beginning, since the moment
it,
she dropped down,
yeah,
she was like, I'm Mary Poppins,
yeah,
and I'm
and
here.
it's like it doesn't matter who Julie Andrews is. I'm Mary Poppins.
Very great, yeah.
Yeah,
And then we have Melissa McCarthy from Can You Ever Forgive Me?
yeah. So there.
Yeah. From Can You Ever Forgive
Hmm.
Me? And she is, for me, she was just like an augmented version of like her normal personality that you get from other movies.
Yeah, but at the same time, probably the part you don't see a lot.
Oh, yes.
Again, you see the comedic portion, but in this one, you see the snarkiness. You see the bitterness of what she has become. That well, the character has become. Again, her personality, her character made me feel things about a female character that I haven't felt ever. Just she was strong-willed, but at the same time, she was beaten down by life. And you mostly see that from male characters, but when you see it from a female character, it's kind of refreshing to see, especially since
She is a very refreshing character, right?
yeah,
Because she's like that person, like in real life, you would hate her because she's so brash.
yeah,
But at the same time, because of this movie, you can see like
why is she
why are
like
they
this?
that brash? Yeah.
Exactly. And we have a
We have another honorable mention. Again, I did not see this one, so
mhm,
he cannot. It's not eligible to win, but we'll nominate Emily Blunt for A Quiet Place. So
So she would have gotten dual nominations.
yeah. So honorable mention to her. She was, oh gosh, if you see A Quiet Place, you can, like, you are taken with her the entire time. You feel that heaviness in her responsibility, and you feel like her pain when she's suffering. You feel that pain too. My mom, when she also felt that pain, everyone felt that pain with. And she felt.
All right, next one. Best actor, Josh Brolin as Thanos. So we had a couple of options for Josh Brolin, but Thanos was the best because he took over the reins of main character in this film. None of the superheroes were the main character. Thanos was the main character. He was a villain, but you can he how can I say it? He made you sympathize with him. He made you try to understand his position. He wasn't just I want to destroy the world and make it in my image. I want to make the world a better place the way no one else has. That was his character model. And throughout the film, you're like, okay, well, he's still a bad guy. He's still doing all this, but he sacrifices so much. He does. You could feel his conviction in everything he does. It's not that he has an ulterior motive. Everything he does serves his ultimate purpose, and when he completes his purpose, that's it.
That's it. That's the movie.
Yeah, that's you don't.
But
It's like it's not the heroes
but he
come in and
doesn't
stop
even.
him.
Yeah, it's
The
not
heroes
even like.
don't come in and stop him.
Yeah.
He did what he needed to do, and once he does that, he doesn't try to kill the heroes. He doesn't try to do anything. He just goes off.
Rest. Yeah.
He goes off into the sunset.
Yeah. We have Benicio del Toro for Best Actor in Sicario, Day of the Soldado. So this person, I mean, Benicio, he just showed a wide range in this movie. He showed, he could do compassion well. He acted as an actor in the movie, which was so funny. Like, like he pretended to be a Mexican, which is like pretty unique. He did sign language. He did. He was also. I mean, we're not gonna spoil it, but he does a lot in this movie, and it's good to see him just do so much. Yeah, and achieve so much too. Like you can believe all that stuff that it was happening to him. We have
Christian Bale in Vice again.
Irrecognizable.
Yeah, political movies tend to be award bait, and this is another one. Christian Bale blended in so well with his character that by the end of it, I was like, "Is this like archive film, or is this actually Christian Bale?"
There were moments we couldn't tell whether it was just like a stock footage of Dick Cheney or Christian Bale.
Yeah, especially towards the end. And
then there was even a scene that really showed his range again in method acting, right? Where he actually had to pretend to do like what would Dick Cheney have said in this hypothetical, never really happened situation, and he pulled it off. Did you feel like
yes?
he could have said?
Honestly, I thought that was like part of the interview.
We almost thought that was part of the movie. It was really good. We have Ryan Reynolds for Deadpool in Deadpool 2.
Literally, the only thing I have to say is Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. That's about it. And I have nothing else to say. Ryan Reynolds plays Deadpool the way we expect him to, and the way he expects himself.
Yeah, he just lets himself be. He doesn't hold back. He just lets himself be, and he still obviously works very hard with the body too, training and everything. You look up to him with the abs.
Abs. All right. Next, we have Best Director. First, we have Boots Riley.
For Sorry to Bother You. And I could not tell that this was his first movie. Could you tell this was his directorial debut?
I did not know that was his
This is their directorial debut.
Well, it was really well done. It just did everything was very well done.
Yeah, so he was able to craft an alternate world that looks similar to our own, but that's very different.
It's very different, but at the same time, it's just reminiscent to what we're dealing with in this world.
And again, it's just a telemarketing movie. Like that's it.
Literally, that's it. But he packs in so much into it.
Yeah, so much.
We have the Russo brothers, Anthony and Joe Russo. Again, when you're directing an epic and not even an epic movie, an epic such as Avengers Infinity War, you have so many things going on that you need the right people directing what's going on, and the Russos did a dang good job with blending in so many environments, blending so many characters, and again, just subverting your expectations of what a villain can be. And yeah, and that again, you that also goes to the writing team and everything, but the people who have the vision brought it together
Yeah,
very well.
I would say so. I would agree. I would also nominate. Well, we're also
We're also
nominating.
nominating Spike
We're
Lee.
also nominating Spike Lee because for Black KK Klansman.
Hmm.
I mean, this movie was very well directed. It had again the scenes lasted as long as they needed to.
Hmm.
The characters, the actors, like
They were
everyone.
really fleshed out, really well
Yeah, I
fleshed
mean
out.
even the scenes like it's funny because it's almost like a I feel like Spike Lee almost made the person that was the Black Hickey Klansman
Hmm.
like as the director too because he
Yeah.
was trying to direct this huge organization
Yes.
thing and he took us through the journey but he also he took us inside of his brain and yeah and even considering it's historically accurate too and he also introduced his own message about policing. I saw a very
Hmm.
strong message about the ethics of
Yeah.
policing.
But
Yeah,
also the duality that we need with policing,
yeah,
just
very.
especially as a black man becoming a police officer.
I saw that conflict.
Yeah, it
And
was he did it well. It wasn't it too polarizing. It wasn't like
mhm. Yeah, and I think he also brought out like just the idea that everyone's racist, right?
mm-hmm.
Like don't like you. I mean, yeah, like sure judge the clan because they're crazy, but also like look within yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right.
All right, next we have best non-human characters.
And then we have
Uh,
a Thanos again.
Thanos
Yeah,
from Infinity
nominated.
War. Again, we
What was he
stated
also nominated for? Oh no, Josh
Josh
Brolin.
Brolin was,
Oh
but best non-human character,
god.
the
Yes.
main character. I would say main character. So Thanos from Infinity War.
Yeah, because
We
he
already
had
said
so much depth. Yeah.
so much that we weren't really expecting, but
From a villain, especially Marvel. Some again,
mhm.
we just go back to the
like
Avengers 2.
like
It's like
Michael B. Jordan was like the closest we had gone to like a
yeah,
fully fleshed
Aven-
character, and now we have an alien who's fully fleshed character now. So
yeah,
you know
multiple aliens. All
exactly.
right, and then we have oh wait, shoot, it was Peter B. Parker actually.
Oh,
Yeah, we gotta fix that. But yeah, Peter B. Parker from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So he is one of the Spider-Mans that come out in the trailer. Again, that's not a spoiler. That's in the trailer.
yeah.
And this guy again, he's one of the few overweight characters, right? A few of the plus-size superheroes, right? One of the
Oh,
few.
I guess
One of the few.
he's not overweight enough. Why isn't he 500 pounds?
Okay, so maybe not 500 pounds, but actually we had two plus size, right? We had Russell as
He's
well.
not really plus size.
Russell's plus size.
No, he's
Oh
not really
no, but
plus
no,
size.
Peter B. Parker is not plus size, but he is. They kind of mock
He's
him,
yeah, he's a 40-year-old man.
but he's
Yes.
still able to do a lot, and
Yeah.
he's also able to be that reluctant mentor that we all. I just love those kinds of characters. They're so
Yeah.
fun. I love him, and even the way he's drawn is so
Especially
fun.
since he I think for him as a character, he was a mentor. He went through so much so much prior to the movie, and then now he's trying, he's being uh, faced with
Yeah, I
becoming
definitely
a
want to see
mentor.
more of him.
Yes.
Yeah, and then we have Venom from Venom.
Venom. Yeah, it's just we said a lot earlier from the
He's also
from
he
black and
nominated
white.
for both. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
both
black
best
and
black
white.
and white and both non-human. So he's
Yeah,
getting a nod from both because he was just so dynamic. Like
yeah,
he's so funny. He even kind of changed his personality a little bit, but
yeah,
you're still suspicious of him, and
yeah.
he's so fun. Like I think Venom is just a really fun movie, even though it's like the human characters were so stiff.
Hmm.
Obviously we did not nominate any humans. These are it.
Yeah,
But we
yeah,
nominated Venom.
yeah. And last one we have Winnie the Pooh. Again,
From Crystal.
he's literally a stuffed toy, but he has so much character. He's the how can I say this? He's my childhood. Not gonna lie, but
Yeah, you were a little apprehensive about the live action version. You were definitely a
yeah,
little apprehensive about seeing him not in 2D. Yeah.
yeah. But it worked really well. Again, just the character, his message about growing up, having lost that sense of
Wonder.
wonder. he message he brings out the message that even as you grow older, you shouldn't lose that sense of wonderment. That everything in the world, you always need to take a break, slow down. It focus on you, but while also keeping your responsibilities.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
having other people help you out as well.
Yeah,
Because again, the Christopher Robin in this movie is
older.
a
Yeah.
war veteran as well. So he's gone through some things. He's lost that sense of wonderment, and again, maybe the people around him need to support him on his trajectory back to becoming a
I know.
well-rounded
Yeah,
individual.
and I mean he's so cute too. I mean,
And he's a
I loved. I wanted to buy one of the like an actual Winnie the Pooh,
yeah,
Christopher
but
Robin.
they were
He
sold
was
out
sold out for the next 3 months.
until Christmas.
So yeah, three.
Yeah.
Well, next 3 months. Yeah. So
So
and
now we
then
have best scenes.
best scene. So we are almost getting to the best pictures. It's
Yes.
getting really intense. So we nominated Math Homework from Incredibles 2. So we were gonna show you the video, and we're not gonna show you the video,
Yeah.
but we have the links there. So
Hmm.
we might actually
Hopefully they
we
work.
could put. I don't know if we could put them in the
Well,
description later
yeah.
on.
Hopefully they work. Yeah, I think we can add
We'll
them.
put them in the description so
Yeah.
you can see the scenes. This scene is about it's just a simple like
Math.
math is math.
Math is math homework.
Math is math.
And as a former teacher
Oh, I'm
and
still like a tutor though. I still
well,
work
as a
with this.
tutor, as a former teacher and now
Private tutor, yeah.
private tutor, and as a TA right now, this one hit home for us. Again, we don't want to share too much.
I mean,
We
you
should
can just watch the scene.
just watch the scene. But
It's
again, we understand the humor behind it because we've gone through this. But again, I think for
I
best
think
scenes we
it's
shouldn't really uh, devolve a lot. Just have
I
them.
think any person who's a parent, any person who's worked with homework
Oh, who's
for
a teacher?
kids or teachers would understand the struggle, and they captured the struggle well. It
Mhm.
actually becomes a reoccurring theme. So this isn't the only homework scene. It
Yeah,
keeps coming back,
but
and it even shows the development of the character, right?
yeah,
Because they use the fact that he's trying so hard to understand the homework.
yeah,
It shows that he's a good guy.
yeah. Next one we have the KKK meeting from
Okay, yeah.
Black Canadian Classmen.
So we have this scene right here. I mean, you can see the picture. You can see that's Grand Duke,
Hmm.
David Duke.
Yeah,
David Duke, and there's
the
the
clans. Yeah,
clans people, and they're being inducted into the KKK, and so is
yeah,
our supporting character, and so is
yeah.
obviously our infiltrator.
And what follows is just, I guess,
And I mean, there's a speech in there. There's video footage in
video
there.
footage of a very famous movie, very famous polarizing movie,
The Death of a Nation, I think,
Birth of a
or
Nation.
Birth of a Nation, and it all combines into this
It
really
just
great, just shot
scene.
scene. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, it's beautiful. We have
Next
the AI turning sentence scene. So we have
in
in that
upgrade.
scene. This is a screenshot I took of it, where the AI turns back. He turns sentient,
No, don't
and then
give don't.
yeah. So this is the. I mean, this isn't the trailer, so it's just the AI, right? Yeah.
Yeah, just again, you should watch it because it everything it just watch it because I can't say it
Yeah,
justice
we don't
because
want to go to how
yeah,
much.
this one is definitely a movie you should watch. Uh,
Imagine
just in any
if
way,
we do a poll or something for best scene poll,
yeah,
then maybe we could see if people really like that scene.
yeah,
Yeah, we could always do a poll maybe.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, and then we have the homeless man dragging.
So this was both the end credits of Venom
Mhm.
and in Spider Verse.
Yeah.
And after that, I've watched it like 2 other times, and I still don't get tired of the scene. It's very good. It brings you into what the plot is going to be of Spider Man,
Mhm.
right? So we get to see this here before we see the movie.
Yeah.
Um,
So you know what's happening, and you get caught up to basically the old Spider-Man,
yeah.
the
So the
new
old Spider
Spider-Man.
Man's like here.
Uh-huh.
And here's the new Spider-Man, and
Yeah.
then they're being dragged, and it's very funny because the
It's
animation is like
yeah.
wild. Like you can, this is just a
Uh-huh.
screenshot I took, but it's just like very fluid.
Yeah. But yeah. And then we have the Soul Stone harvesting scene
Yeah, so
from
we have Infinity Wars. We have that relationship between Gamora and Thanos.
and you're just
The struggle inside
the
between
between family and it's
the greater
the greater good,
good,
the
yeah.
greater good, and fulfilling your own, uh, you know, convictions. Going through with your own convictions. How far are you willing to take it? and the Soul Stone harvesting scene was definitely one of the top ones, and it could be reoccurring to the. It was reoccurring in the film, and it's reoccurring. Could be recurring to the next movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now,
On
best
to
prop.
best prop. So we're almost down to the line. We were thinking of making this 2 hours, so we're
Yeah,
actually
well,
right on time.
yeah. So we have the. Well, you
We
want
have, yeah, the first nominee is the X-Men trainee vest from Deadpool 2, which you will see right there.
yeah,
That is, Deadpool, obviously he's like loosely associated with the X-Men, and visually you can see how, like, this is a beautiful symbol for how he's trying to be in the X-Men,
yeah.
but he's
Has
not quite,
or a
not
normal
quite,
hero. Yeah, it's not.
not quite the X-Men yet. He's
No.
trying to be, he's a trainee.
Yeah. And secondly, we have the kite from Mary Poppins Returns. It makes a return in this film, and again, it becomes an integral part of the plot. Uh, Not only because it introduces Mary Poppins, but because it does other things in the movie. So, I won't spoil too much about it. But
Yeah,
again,
it's just that it's like the
yeah,
Mary Poppins becomes the next prop because we had a lot of props in the 2018 because
mhm,
we had a lot of superhero movies,
yeah,
but this is one of the top ones because the moment you see that kite, you know it's Mary
yeah,
Poppins. You know stuff's gonna go down,
and yeah,
and so it's become more than a prop; it's a symbol now.
yeah, it's a symbol.
And
Uh,
then we have
we have
the
the gun
gun.
from Kin. So you know your movie was not very good when a gun has more personality than the majority of the characters, aside from the child actor, which again, when your child actor has more,
And James Franco.
and James Franco. Well, James Franco's James Franco. He's I'm pretty sure he wasn't even acting at that point.
Wait, what?
But the gun from Kin was very again, it was polarizing because people were like, a black boy with a gun. Wow. But the gun serves an integral purpose, and it at the end of the movie it gets resolved to how important the gun really is. What is what are some of the uh, which how do you say it? The purpose it holds in the future. Again, I'm not sure if Ken is gonna get
I
another
mean, they made
release.
it seem like it was gonna get a sequel, but then everyone's like, it made no money, so
Yeah,
it's probably never gonna get a sequel.
but again, it was the gun was.
Yeah, and I think it's because that gun was so like it's so looking like it looks so scary and
Hmm.
sci-fi, but it's a little boy from Earth that's holding it. It's
Yeah,
it's just yeah, it's that contrast.
yeah.
It makes a great scene with him. Not the great movie, a
Hmm.
great scene with the kid.
Yeah. And then we have Infinity Gauntlet from Avengers
Yeah.
Infinity War. And again, just seeing it, you know what it is. You know what's gonna happen. But again, just the power that it holds by itself is.
It drives the plot, especially like
Hmm.
even when like trying to remove the gauntlet makes it less powerful
Hmm.
and like but also knowing if it's just the gauntlet or
Yeah.
do we need
And
is it the man or is it the gauntlet, you
yeah,
know?
and also the other thing, it's not like a very dangerous weapon either. Again, it's just a glove. It can be neutralized. It's not this mighty like sword that has to be forged from like the inner workings of Valhalla. No, it's a gauntlet, and the man who wields the gauntlet is the source of the power. So
Yeah.
yeah, and
And
lastly,
that's
we
uh,
have Best Picture.
we're starting to have our best picture nominees. So these are the movies that we think won 2018. So we have first of all Avengers Infinity Wars. I think this movie is again I felt it was completely epic. When I left that theater, I thought, wow, like it just stops you in your tracks. There's all these characters and I think it actually did really well with managing all the characters. I think a lot. I mean, it was really. I think I was really skeptical of like, oh, 70 something, 60 something characters. Like, how are they going to pull that off? But like they brought out the personality of each of the characters, which was really funny.
Yeah.
Like even with the mannerisms too. Like
Hmm.
even as something as simple as like the one trying to like read the
Yeah.
mind to being like ooh little like like even seeing like them meet for the first time
Yeah.
was so funny. Like having a Groot and Thor like all these like character combinations and then yeah
Yeah.
the plot was also I mean the plot could have been so standard. It could have been like, oh, just collect the stones and win kind of
Yeah.
thing. Like,
And it technically was that, but they added so much more to the
Mm-hmm.
quest of finding it. Again, you felt like Thanos was the main character, even though he was evil. He had to go through the hero's journey. It
Yeah.
like all the other characters were trying to stop him, but Thanos was the one who was trying to fulfill.
Yep, and the cinematography was great. The costumes, again, they were very varied. Again, a lot of
Hmm.
the CGI. They had the IMAX, which they also went the extra mile filming it in IMAX
Hmm.
cameras. So a lot of work came into this.
Yeah,
Very fun.
yeah. Second, we have the death of Stalin.
Oh yeah.
So, again, period piece, but it's a parody. Again, it was just very well acted, even though
The cast was
the
hilarious.
cast was hilarious. The premise was beautiful in my opinion. Just having that extra spin on who Stalin was and the after effects of his demise. Just the chaos the humans of the human characters. I'm saying that like there's alien characters in this, but of human nature, the chaos of human nature, and the want and need for power from other people.
Yeah, definitely like that struggle of power. I think again, we said a lot of stuff was great. We said the costumes were great. We said the editing was great. We
Hmm.
said yeah, we said that even the political message too. Like we came out of this figuring out like, totalitarian governments and socialism, and we also came out of it thinking of just in general, rulers.
Hmm.
Rulers are idiots.
Yeah, just like us.
Don't trust yeah, rulers are idiots just like us.
Next, we have Sorry to Bother
Sorry
You.
to bother you. Yeah, this movie is. I mean, with the original, we said one of the main draws of it is it's an original story,
Hmm.
never been done before, and I don't think it'll ever be done again. Honestly,
Yeah,
this kind of story, like, who's gonna make a story about like a dude with a
with a
phone?
just like telemarketing.
Telemarketing. Like,
Yeah,
how did you make that? Like, Destiny is
Destiny's
calling.
calling.
Like, what is that movie even about? Like,
Yeah, it's just like
that's why we
it.
made this. Well, part of the reason we made this whole Neddies is because we want to see, like, if you're, looking back in 2020 something,
Hmm.
and what movie from 2018 should you watch? You're never gonna have thought of Sorry to Bother You because it sounds so like
Yeah,
mundane.
yeah, and again, from the trailers, it's like telemarketing's this awesome thing that it can become, but sometimes it can become a lot more than that.
They
You know,
use telemarketing to tell message,
yeah,
and it worked very well for them.
very well.
And the costumes are good.
Castles are amazing. Upgrade. Again, just this whole
This
movie
whole
subverted my expectations in
I
so
did
many
not
ways.
like this poster. It made it seem like this movie was gonna be nothing. Like,
Yeah, but again, very simplistic. Blumhouse does everything very basic, but this movie was beyond basic. It was, again, for me, I put it on par. I want to say with Terminator, the original
yeah,
Terminator. Not aliens, but definitely with a Terminator. It's something you weren't expecting, but once you saw it, you were glad you saw it. You felt like you
yeah,
were part of like artistic history
yeah. I
for
mean,
me.
even the message too from it. It's like you always think like it's never gonna happen to you. You're never gonna become not man, not machine. Like I'm always gonna be keep my humanity. But it's
Mhm.
like if you're in a situation,
That calls for it.
cost for
What are
like
you willing to do?
like how what does it take for you to say yes to letting an AI turn sentient on you?
Or what? How far are you willing to change yourself
Yes.
to achieve your goals? In this case, it'd be revenge. But how far are you willing to change yourself
Yeah.
to achieve your ultimate goals? And Upgrade brings that in. It puts it at the forefront, especially with the change of technology, change in just the world around us. Again,
Mm-hmm.
it's a really good film. I love the ending.
The ending will
The end,
keep you very satisfied,
yeah,
but
it's
also,
unsatisfied at the same
yeah,
time.
it's good.
Yeah,
Yeah. So the next one we
you
got
have.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So this movie, even if it's animated, but it's still at the level story-wise
Hmm.
from any of these other films that we've nominated.
Yeah,
The character. I mean, like the characters were so well developed. I love the father son relationship. I feel like that's not explored enough in superhero films.
yeah,
Right? Because again, I think that's one of the criticisms I've always had of superhero films that not enough of the characters are fathers,
no,
right? So, in this case, it's a son with a father,
Yeah.
and then, and then that dynamic gets captured. There's also that mentoring aspect. There's the multiple Spider-Mans, multiple personalities. So it tries to rival Infinity, where like, we have a lot of characters. This
Yeah.
has a lot of characters too.
Yeah.
The animation is beautiful, right? The
Yeah.
the animation, the just yeah.
The music was
Oh, the
amazing,
the
amazingly placed.
soundtrack's very funny.
Yeah.
Well, again, the Spidey Bell song that we did, it's actually an entire soundtrack. You can look it up. You can look up a very Spidey Christmas. It's
Yeah.
a whole soundtrack. There's the end credit scene was
Yeah. Amazing.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then it's still in its theatrical run. So if you're watching this until maybe February
Yeah.
2019,
You still got time to
watch
watch
in
it.
the theaters because you're not going to see Spidey swinging in a tiny iPad and be satisfied as much as you are in the big screen.
Yeah. And our last one,
Won't
Won't
you
You
be
Be
my
My
neighbor?
Neighbor?
Oh yeah,
Again, even though it was a documentary, it really showed an insight into probably one of the most important people of the late 20th century.
your favorite Republican?
One of your favorite
No,
Republicans
yeah,
from,
he's
oh, well, my favorite Republicans,
yeah,
and
yeah, he's,
probably one of your guys' favorite Republicans,
yeah,
like it or not. But again, this movie showed a part of Mr. Rogers that none of us really saw, but we all needed to know was there. A person who
yeah.
was, uh, you know,
I
deeply
mean,
conflicted,
mhm,
but at the same time
yeah.
found faith in not only religion, but also in the belief that people are good, innately
Oh
good.
yeah, and again, this is a movie that is so important. Again, because people get caught up in like, oh, Republican, Democrat politics,
Hmm.
but he just brings people together. And this movie, I felt brought everyone together. I feel
Yeah.
like it's not biased in any,
Hmm.
So that's why it rises above. I think some of the other movies we saw in 2018, you could definitely tell like they were just trying to like push your message.
Yeah.
This one, it's like it gave you the facts and it also gave you just like the humanity behind everyone and
Hmm.
also behind the scenes too. I got to
Yeah.
see a lot of the other people who made
Yeah.
Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood
And
possible,
and
not just Fred
and
Rogers.
yeah, and again, it showed you that it wasn't just one man with one kind of vision. It was multiple people coming together to build what they believe was something that needed to be created.
Yeah.
And Fred Rogers didn't care what kind of, what your sexuality was, what your race
Or
was, what
even
your
like,
creed was.
yeah, you're erased. Yeah,
Yeah.
remember like the whole scene.
Yeah, or
Even
even
if you were a cop too, because
yeah,
remember there was a whole like, oh, should we show
yeah,
cops? You know?
or even, just the generational gap that existed. That he didn't care about any of that. He tried his best to make you feel comfortable around him, even if it meant getting a little bit away from his comfort zone or
Yeah,
from his
and he
beliefs.
really, yeah, like, and even like caring about kids psychologically as people, like, and
Hmm.
that's why he like used the puppets too, and like
Yeah,
thinking about kids as more than just oh, let
yeah,
dump toilets,
yeah,
entertain them.
yeah. And he was also not only just uh, a TV personality, but he was also a scholar. He
Oh yeah,
he worked with
definitely.
schools to learn about child development, learn what's important for a child to know at certain ages, or just in general, just
Hmm.
throughout life. And again, this
Yeah, and it
ish,
had a perfect balance of just like footage from like black and white. You see like
yeah,
the old footage, and then the
the new
newest footage, and then
interviews,
interviews, and yeah,
home footage also.
home footage. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was a great mix of everything. Plus, yeah, it's just definitely there. I mean that's why we have the netties. I think that we almost like Mr. Rogers, right? We want kids to be nourished, right?
Hmm.
That's why we were kind of disappointed that not as many kids saw Spideyverse and not as many kids saw Isle of Dogs
Hmm.
or even Teen Titans, right?
Yeah.
They saw maybe the animated films that they didn't see the same ones we saw, but I think they should be seen, right?
Yeah.
And all these movies that we've nominated for the Netties, you should go out and see because
Yeah.
they've filtered the test. They've passed our
Our
eyeballs.
yeah, our basic
And then again, we're
wh-
new to this, so
yeah, we're not
we're not
professional movie
critics. We're
reviewers.
not movie critics. So a lot of this, you might think, oh well,
They're just talking out of their behinds, but
but this is you
yeah,
know first year the Neddies are recorded, and
Yeah.
I think so. We'll see you. We'll announce. So
Well,
let's announce when we're gonna do the award ceremony.
so
So we'll do it like
February 1st.
February 1st.
Yeah.
There you go. That's when the Neddies are gonna come out the
Yeah.
winning. So you
Or
have
the
on.
weekend of February 1st. Depends how we present that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we will come up with the winners. We'll deliberate. Some of these are hard.
Yeah.
Except for documentary, you already won that one.
Yeah, you place your bets on that one though.
We'll still present the winners. So.
Yeah.
And we'll be here. Well, it's already getting dark. You can
Yeah.
hardly see our faces.
Yeah.
So have a good one and
And we'll
bye.
bye. See you guys.
See you guys. Take care.
Yeah. All right.